Good day, everyone. Today, we will dive into a fascinating and deeply interconnected set of topics that lie at the very heart of human life: pregnancy, growth, development, and genetics. First, let us know what is fertilization. So, fertilization is the natural life process which is carried out by the fusion of both male and female gametes, which results in the formation of a zygote. What is a zygote? A zygote, also called a fertilized egg, is the phase of conception where the egg and sperm join to form a single cell. The zygote contains a full set of chromosomes with 23 from the egg and 23 from the sperm. The zygote phase lasts only about 4 days, after which the single cell splits rapidly to become a blastocyst and then an embryo. So, a blastocyst, ano nga ba ito? So, it is a structure that forms in the early stages of embryonic development, approximately 5 to 6 days after fertilization. So, during fertilization, the sperm and egg unite in one of the fallopian tubes to form a zygote. As you can see in the illustration, that's an example of fallopian tube. Then the zygote travels down the fallopian tube where it becomes a morula. Once it reaches the uterus, the morula becomes a blastocyst. The blastocyst then burrows into the uterine wall, a process called implantation. After fertilization, the development of a multicellular organism proceeds by a process called cleavage, a series of mitotic divisions whereby the enormous volume of egg cytoplasm is divided into numerous smaller nucleated cells. These cleavage stage cells are called blastomers. As you can see on the illustration, that is the stages of early cleavage. So cleavage begins about 24 hours after the egg has been fertilized, once the pronuclei have fused. We will discuss cleavage as if each division occurs synchronously because it is easier to understand this way. The first cleavage resulting embryo is two cells, two blastomeres or two cleavage cells. So the DNA has been synthesized and embryo has doubled the DNA content of zygote. Embryo has made membrane to surround both cells. Growth has not occurred, so the two blastomeres together are approximately the same size as the original zygote. The second cleavage, as you can see on the picture, embryo is four cells. So DNA has been synthesized and embryo has now 4 times DNA content. Embryo has made a membrane to surround all four cells and growth has not occurred, so the four blastomeres together are about the same size as the original zygote. And the third cleavage, which is the 8 cells, more DNA has been synthesized. Embryo now has 8 times DNA content. And the embryo has made membrane to surround all 8 cells. Then DNA duplication and membrane synthesis will continue as cells to continue to divide. So growth has not occurred, so the 8 blastomeres together are approximately the same size as the zygote. And embryo will now undergo compaction just prior to the next division, leading to 16-cell stage, which is called morula. Let's take a look at this video. And now, let's dive to our next topic, which is the embryonic stage. The embryonic stage lasts from about the third week of pregnancy until the end of the eighth week of pregnancy. The blastocyst begins to take on distinct human characteristics. It's now called an embryo. Structures and organs like the neural tube, which later becomes the brain and spinal cord, head, eyes, mouth, and limbs, they start to form. The cells that will form the fetal heart begin to cluster around 5 to 6 weeks and can pulse. Buds that will become arms and legs also form around the sixth week. By the end of the eighth week, most of the embryo's organs and systems take shape. For a lot of people, this is the point in pregnancy where morning sickness begins. I know you guys already have an idea what a morning sickness is. So let us watch a short clip to make you visualize the explanation more. Next is the fetal stage. The fetal stage of development begins around the ninth week and lasts until birth. This is when the embryo officially turns into a fetus. The fetus gets its assigned sex around 9 weeks of pregnancy, although your healthcare provider can't detect it on ultrasound yet. The fetus's major organs and body systems continue to grow and mature. Things like fingernails, eyelashes, and hair also grow. The fetus is able to move its limbs, although you may not feel it until 20 weeks of pregnancy. The majority of growth, in both weight and length, happens in the fetal stage. Let's watch another clip to enlighten you about the explanation.
At 10 weeks and barely the size of a kumquat, your baby is entering the fetal stage of development. His facial features are defined, and his tooth buds are forming. Over the next weeks, his tissues and organs will rapidly grow and mature. The webbing is gone between his fingers and toes, and his nails and fingerprints are developing. Your baby can open and close his fists and curl his toes. Thanks to his developing muscles and reflexes, he's now moving his limbs and kicking up a storm. If this is your first baby, though, you likely won't feel his flutters until 18 to 20 weeks. Through translucent skin, his vital organs are visible and functioning, including his growing brain, nervous system, intestines, and liver, which is making red blood cells in place of the disappearing yolk sac. The umbilical cord is working hard now. One vein delivers oxygen and nutrient-rich blood to your baby. Two arteries then carry the blood away. Around week 12, the kidneys have begun producing urine, which your baby will soon start excreting into the amniotic fluid. He'll swallow the fluid and the process will begin again. By week 14, your baby's eyes and ears have moved into place, and he can squint, frown, and grimace. You're now beginning the second trimester of pregnancy, which many women say is when they feel their best.
So, embryo versus fetus. In human pregnancies, a baby to be isn't considered a fetus until the ninth week after the conception. 9 week is, I think it's 2 months, or 11 week after last menstrual period. 11 weeks is around 3 months. The embryonic period is all about the formation of important systems of the body. As discussed earlier, formation ng mga brain, spinal cord, ulo, mata, bibig, and limbs. Think of it as your baby's basic foundation and framework. And the fetal period, on the other hand, is more about growth and development so your baby can survive in the outside world. In early pregnancy, when a fertilized egg attaches to the lining of the womb, hormones help support the pregnancy in the embryo's development. The placenta releases HCG, telling the ovaries to increase production of estrogen and progesterone. So the meaning of HCG is human chorionic gonadotrophin. Ano nga ba ito? It is a hormone produced by the placenta during pregnancy. It helps thicken a person's uterine lining to support a growing embryo and tells the body to stop menstruation. HCG levels rise after the conception and continue to rise until about 10 weeks in pregnancy. A pregnancy test measures HCG around 11 days after a baby is conceived, as you can see naman sa illustration. Estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin support the growth of the placenta. Progesterone prevents the release of more eggs. Progesterone also maintains and thickens the womb lining. In addition, it signals the lining to meet the baby's nutritional needs until the placenta takes over at 8 to 12 weeks. Other effects of hormonal changes are, since HCG boosts blood flow to the kidneys, it produces more urine and increasing the need to pee. Pee is umihi. And relaxin works on the muscles and ligaments to make room for the growing baby. This can cause discomfort and problems with balance. And if there is a drop in the levels of progesterone during pregnancy, it can lead to a miscarriage or early labor. A synthetic form can be given to mothers or pregnant people at risk to delay labor starting. As pregnancy progresses, several hormones support the growing baby and adapting pregnant body. So relaxin signals for changes in the pregnant woman or person's body to meet the increased oxygen and nutrients needed for the growing baby. Progesterone and relaxin strengthen the uterus and prevent it contracting too early. Estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, and prostaglandins get the breast ready to produce milk, but the same hormones stop the milk flowing for the moment. Prolactin produces milk, which is in the breast from 4 months of pregnancy. Estrogen develops the baby's internal organs. High levels of estrogen and progesterone might also lead to the pregnant woman or person experiencing mood swings, nausea, heartburn, and constipation. Let us now dive down to the basics of genetics. Genetics is the study of how traits are passed from parents to offspring through genes. Genes are segments of DNA that determine specific characteristics like eye color or blood type. Each person has two versions of each gene called allele. Allele is one of two or more alternative forms of a gene that arise by mutation and are found at the same place on a chromosome, one from each parent. So, nakikita nyo naman sa photo, sa illustration, yung example ng itsura ng allele. Next, dominant versus recessive traits. So, dominant traits show their effect even if the person has only one copy of the gene. Recessive traits only show when a person has two copies of the gene. For example, yung dominant trait niya is yung brown eyes, which is the big B, and yung recessive trait is yung small b, which is ang blue eyes. So, yung tao na homozygous dominant and heterozygous, sila yung may mga possibility na magiging brown eyes. Meanwhile, yung mga taong homozygous recessive, sila yung may chance na magkakaroon ng blue eyes. So, ano nga ba yung homozygous dominant? Homozygous dominant, ito yung, as you can see dyan, yung dalawang malaking B. And yung heterozygous naman, ito yung mix, which is one big B and one small b. And yung homozygous recessive naman, ito yung puros maliliit na B. Third is Punnett squares. A Punnett square is a diagram used to predict the genetic outcome of a cross between two individuals. For example, yung eye color. Yung dominant trait niya is brown, which is the big B, and yung recessive is the small b. So let's say, yung parent 1 meron siyang brown eyes, and yung parent 2 also has brown eyes. So, how do we do this in a Punnett square? So, first is gagawa tayo ng box. Then, divide it into 4. Si parent 1, ilalagay natin siya sa taas. And si parent 2, ilalagay natin sa gilid. Then, we will put them into the respective boxes, like this. Since si big B is nandito sa side na to, we'll put it here sa dalawang magkasunod na boxes. Then, itong si small b naman, naka-align siya dito, kaya ilalagay natin siya. Let's go naman kay parent 2. The big B goes here. And the small b goes here. As you can see sa result, 25% is homozygous dominant, which is big B and big B. 50% of it is heterozygous, which is big B and small b. Lastly, 25% of it is homozygous recessive, which is small b and small b. So, there's a 75% chance na magkakaroon ng brown eyes yung offspring nila and only 25% chance of blue eyes. So, next example natin is yung blood type. Blood type is determined by multiple alleles, A, B, and O. A and B are dominant over O. So, hato yung equivalence nila. A plus O is equals to type A, B plus O is equals to type B, A plus B is equal to type AB, codominant. O plus O is equals to, of course, type O. So, yung example naman natin is si parent 1 ay type A, which is AO, and si parent 2 is type B, which is BO. So, how do we do this again in a Punnett square? So, just like sa eye color natin, ganun pa rin. Siyempre, gagawa pa rin tayo ulit ng box and divide it into 4. Si parent 1, ilalagay natin ulit sa top. And si parent 2 naman is ilalagay natin sa gilid. So, the A goes here and the O goes here. Next is si parent 2. The B goes here and the O goes here. As you can see, meron tayong 4 possible blood types. First is yung blood type AB. Next is blood type A. Third is yung blood type B. And lastly is yung blood type O. So, each one of them has 25% chance na ganun yung magiging blood type ng offspring nila. Ang dali lang gawin, di ba? And to make sure na nag-guess ninyo, here's a sample problem. You can answer it on your papers. You can send it if you want, but if you don't, at least meron kayong natutunan for today. And before I formally end our report, here's a riddle for you guys. Please type your answers in the comment section below. The link for our quiz will be sent on the GC. And that's it. I hope you have learned something. Thank you guys for listening.